Alright, baby cakes, let's start again. So, today is the 29th, and today is Little Bear's day in bed. There's the baby bears, the mama and the papa bear. Alright, so Little Bear is not very well today. Mrs. Bear takes his temperature. You are hotter than usual, she says. You must stay in bed until you are better. Little Bear's friends come over to play. I can't come out, says Little Bear. I don't feel well. Little Bear's friends are sorry for him. Get well soon, they say. We'll come again tomorrow. At lunchtime, Mr. Bear brings Little Bear some food on a tray. I don't feel like eating, says Little Bear. Dear me, says Mr. Bear. You are a sickly bear. Would you like me to read you a story? But Little Bear shakes his head. He doesn't feel like his favorite storybooks either. Well, go to sleep, Little Bear, says Mr. Bear gently. I bet you'll feel better when you wake up. Little Bear sleeps all afternoon, and when he wakes, his tummy is rumbling. Thinks Little Bear, it must be supper time. Mrs. Bear comes to see how he is. She finds Little Bear sitting up and playing with his toys. How about some milk and honey, and a honey sandwich? She says. Yes, please, says Little Bear. I'm hungry. After supper, Mr. Bear walks into the bedroom. He is hiding something behind his back. How's the patient? He asks. Much better, says Little Bear, jumping out of bed. What have you got in your paws? Guess what paw it is to find out, teases Mr. Bear. Left or right? Little Bear thinks hard. Left. No. Right. Right the first time, says Mr. Bear, holding up a chocolate bar. But are you well enough to eat it? Yes, says Little Bear, I am. A day in bed did you good, says Mrs. Bear, with a smile. Tomorrow you can go out to play. Oh, so Little Bear got all better just by staying a day in bed. Sometimes you just need a day of rest. That's why we have Saturday. Saturday is usually a day of rest, right? Because it's the Sabbath. Let's find the next princess story. Alright, baby. This is our next princess story. And it is the princess who nobody could silence. There was once upon a time a king, and he had a daughter who would always have the last word. She was so perverse and contrary in her speech that no one could silence her. So the king therefore promised that he who could outwit her should have the princess in marriage, and half the kingdom besides. There were plenty of those who wanted to try, I can assure you, for it isn't every day that a princess and half a kingdom are to be had. The gate to the palace hardly ever stood still. The suitors came in swarms and flocks from east and west, both riding and walking. But there was no one who could silence the princess. At last the king announced that those who tried and did not succeed shall be branded on both ears with a large iron. He would not have all this running about the palace for nothing. So there were 3 brothers who had all heard about the princess, and as they were rather badly off at home, they thought they would try their luck and see if they could win the princess and half the kingdom. They were good friends, so they agreed to set out together. When they had got a bit on the way, Aristotle found a dead magpie. "I have found something, I have found something," cried he. "What have you found?" asked the brothers. "I have found a dead magpie," said he. "Frot, throw it away." "What can you do with that?" said the other two, who also believed they were the wisest. "Oh, I've nothing else to do. I can easily carry..." Oh. Oh my goodness. Oh no. I just want more light in the room. Alright. I've nothing else to do. I can easily carry it, said Aristotle. When they had gone a bit further, Aristotle found an old willow twig, which he picked up. "I found something, I found something," he cried. "What have you found now?" said the brothers. "I found a willow twig," said he. "What are you going to do with that?" "Throw it away," said the other two. "I have nothing else to do. I can easily carry it with me," said Aristotle. When they had gone still further, he found a broken saucer, which he also picked up. "Here, lads, I have found something, I have found something," said he. "Well, what have you found now?" asked the brothers. "A broken saucer," said he. "Pshaw! It is dragging that along. Is it worthwhile dragging that along with you, too?" "Throw it away," said the brothers. "Oh, I've nothing else to do. I can easily carry it with me," said Aristotle. When they had gone a little further, he found a crooked goat horn, and soon after he found the fellow to it. So, while they had gone a little bit further, he had found a crooked goat horn, and soon after he found the fellow to it. I have found something, lads," said he. "What have you found now?" said the others. "2 goat horns," answered Aristotle. "Ugh, throw it away. What are you going to do with them?" said they. "Oh, I have nothing else to do. I can easily carry them with me," says Aristotle. In a little while he found a wedge. "I say, lads, I have found something, he cried. "You are everlastingly finding something. What have you found now?" asked the two eldest. "I have found a wedge," he answered. "Oh, throw it away. What are you going to do with it?" said they. "Oh, I have nothing else to do. I can easily carry it with me," said Aristotle. As he went across the king's field, which had been freshly manicured, it's manured, like manured, which has been freshly manured, he stooped down and took up an old boot sill. "Hello, lads, I have found something, said he. Heaven grant you may find a little sense before you get to the palace," said the two. "What is it you have found now?" "An old boot sole," said he. Is that anything worth picking up? Throw it away." "What are you going to do with it?" said the brothers. "Oh, I have nothing else to do. I can easily carry it with me. And who knows, it may help me to win the princess and half the kingdom," said Aristotle. "Yes, you look a likely one, don't you?" "Yes, you look a likely one, don't you?" said the other two. So they went into the princess, the eldest first, Good day, said he. Good day to you, answered she, with a shrug. It's terribly hot here, said he. It's hotter in the fire, said the princess. The branding iron was lying wait in the fire. When he saw this, he was struck speechless, and so it was all over with him. The second brother fared no better. Good day, said he. Good day to you, said she, with a wriggle. It's terribly hot here, said he. It's hotter in the fire, said she. With that he lost both speech and wits, and so the iron had to be brought out. Then came Aristotle's turn. Good day, said he. Good day to you, she said, with a shrug and a wiggle. It is very nice and warm here, said Aristotle. It's warmer in the fire, she answered, and she was in no better humor now. When she saw the third suitor. Then there's a chance for me to roast my magpie on it, said he, bringing it out. I am afraid that it will sputter. Said the princess. No fear of that. I'll tie this willow twig round it, said the lad. You can't tie a twig enough, she said. Then I'll drive a wedge, said the lad, and brought out the wedge. The fat will be running off it, said the princess. Then I'll hold this under it, said the lad, and showed her the broken saucer. You are so crooked in your speech, said the princess. No, I am not crooked, answered the lad, but this is crooked. And he brought out one of the goat horns. Well, I've never seen the like, cried the princess. Here, you can see it. Here, you see the like, said he, and brought the other horn out. It seems you have come here to wear out my soul, she said. No, I have not come here to wear out your soul, for I have one here which is already worn out, answered the lad, and brought out the old boot sole. The princess was so dumbfounded that she was completely silenced. Now you are mine, said Aristotle. And so he got her and half the kingdom into the bargain. There you go. Alright, I think the next one actually might be our last storybook for this one. Alright. So the next one is, see the storybook. Once upon a time. Okay, this one is the dumb princess. Nobody is dumb, baby. Everyone's smart, but alright, so once upon a time, well, the world was still soft about the edges. There lived a king and queen who had no child at all. Finally, the storks promised the next time they came home from the warm countries on the other side of the sun, they would bring the queen a baby. Everything was joy and contentment in the castle until the queen, who was herself a plain body, began to fret and worry for fear the child would not be so handsome as its station in life required. One day there came to the castle a little old woman wrapped in a green cloak, with gray hair and snapping eyes. What was she wanting there? That was what the High Lord Marshal wanted to know. Oh, she was a bit of a doctor who could provide good looks out of the air. If there was no way else to be had, At that, the queen leaned out of the upper window and called down to the marshal to send the old goody upstairs. And could she give beauty to anybody? The queen said, because if she could, there was a baby promised by the stork to that house, and the queen was afraid they might not choose one handsome enough to be the heir to the kingdom. The little old woman said, oh yes, she could do that, but of course everything has its price. As the fox said, when he ate the hen that came to get learning. Oh yes, she could do that, but of course everything has its price, as the fox said to the hen when he ate the hen that came to get learning. Here was a sponge now. It had been made for the queen of the marmalades, who had used it with great effect until she became so lovely that the king of the mermaids that the mer king had difficulty in resounding himself from taking a bit of her occasionally. Of taking a bite of her occasionally. The sponge was almost worn out, but there was just one more ounce of power left in it. The queen bathed her baby with it just once. It would be the loveliest child in the world. The price of it was high, the old woman said, nothing more or less than the tongue of the baby that the stork were to bring. But what was a tongue besides speaking? Beauty surpasses at that. When a man is dry of thirst, he needs little urging to drink red wine, though it have an ill flavor. So the queen took the magic sponge and thanked the old woman, who said that she would return for her payment after the stork came home. By and by the stork did come home, and they brought the queen a daughter. The queen could not rest until she had a cloth across her knees and a basin of milk on the floor. She dipped the sponge in the milk and passed it over the baby. Well, it had been a very charming baby before. The stork had shown great good taste when they chose her, but after the sponge touched her, she resembled nothing so much as wild roses and blackberries growing together in the snow. The queen was delighted and hastened to mop the sponge over her own face, but it did not alter her a whit. Its power was quite gone, and it was of no more use to anybody. Presently along came the little old woman for her payment. The queen begged and pleaded, but she could not deny the contract. So the little old woman had her way. For, as the king said, if one is to have butter, one has to give up the cream. So the old woman put on a glove of the thinnest silk and rubbed her fingers over some ornament in a bit of a stone box. She gave the little tongue a gentle twitch, and off it came in her hand. And when they looked round for her, she was gone. Well, the princess grew from a lovely baby into a beautiful little girl. Her skin grew finer and clearer every day, and her braids of black hair were fine as silk. and heavy as ropes that that tapped her heels when she walked abroad. But the gleam of her great eyes and the movement of her narrow white hands were the only speech she had. The earls and the marquises and the dukes and the court and the barons and all their lads too bowed and bent and smiled at her as well as they could, but they did no more than that. How can one get on if one asks questions and receives no answers? And the wolf said when he asked the way of the millstone. So the princess sat by herself and sighed, and the tears rolled down her cheeks and mixed with the diamonds on her gown. One day she made up her mind to go into the wide world and seek her tongue, or if that was not to be found, some fashion of speaking like other people. She dressed herself like a farmer lass in homespun gray, and picked a bit of the basket with wheat cakes and cheese, and a leather bottle filled of wine. And off she stepped through the woods, as brisk as a swallow in the sun. There was no stopping to gather bud or berry, I can tell you, nor to run about after squirrels or rabbits. There is nothing to be gained by dwelling in one place, as the rat said when he tried to get out of the trap, and the princess thought that she had best keep on until her feet would carry her no further. So she traveled for days and days, crossing brooks and runnels, and climbing green hills, and dragging over golden mossy places, until she came to a hollow behind the fourth hill on the left side of the sea, and there she had to stop. She sat down under the great tree that shaded most of the glen. There was moss packed in the roots of it, and that is made a wide chair as easy as the queen's velvet cushions. The princess broke her last cake and morsel of cheese, but in the midst of the third bite she gave a great sigh and leaned her head back against the tree bowl. And in less time than it takes to tell the time of day by a dandelion, she was sound asleep. When she opened her eyes, there stood before her an old figure of a little old man, munching her cake. He was clad in green from head to foot, with a scarlet tassel on his cap, and a broad leather belt about his middle. And could the princess make more cakes like this? That was what he wanted to know. The princess nodded. And cheese? The princess nodded. Have you no tongue? Said he next. The princess shook her head sorrowfully, and opened her mouth to show him that she had no tongue at all. He was mightily pleased at that, and rubbed his hands while he leaped towards the air. Ah, said he, that's famous, that you shall be my housekeeper, and long as you choose to stay. The last housekeeper I had died of her 500th on her 500th birthday 3 days ago, and I was not sorry, for she did nothing but rattle and clack from morning till night. My ears are still callous from her talking. Nothing goes forward in a house where there is nothing but buzzing, as a spider said when he punched the fly. "Come, will you stay?" The princess, who was glad to find that there was one body who did not wish her to be talkative, that she joyfully nodded yes, she would. So the dwarf took a good copper key from his pocket and thrust it into a tree. There was a squeak and a groan, and lo, the whole side of the tree opened into a wide door with long, shining hedges on the inside. And as the tree itself, the floor was soft with moss and rushes, and there was a neat little table and two neat chairs, a cupboard full of charmingly carved cups and plates, a hearth made of dull red stones with a shining kettle hanging before it, and in the corner a tiny winding stair that led to the branches of the tree, which, as everybody knows, are the finest and douriest candles in the world. For a while the princess was as happy as a bee in a honeysuckle. In the daytime she baked and brewed and stretched and sewed, and at night she rocked in the great branches of the tree and counted the stars until the Sandman came. But one day the dwarf made a face over the acorn soup. And what had the princess been doing to the cooking? The princess shook her head, but her eyes were full of tears. "Yes, yes," said the dwarf. "That's the tune the bears dance to. There is the taste of tears in this. Come now, what's amiss?" But the princess shook her head and looked at her plate. At last, by asking, the dwarf hit upon it. The princess wanted to be about and search for her tongue again. "Well, well," said the little green man, "when there's a hole in the jacket, the good man is the one who patches it. So now you have been a good lass and have no fault to find. Here in a box of ornaments, such as a little green people keep for more uses than one. And remember this," said he, wiggling a finger at her, "if ever a leopard lies across your feet, rub this ornament on his spots, one every night between the dark and the dawning. It will do him a good turn, and perhaps you will be in a good stead." So the princess took the box thankfully and put it in her basket and went on her way. She was by now a tall girl, so fair that the sun flicked when it shone on her, and she traveled with a light heart. The first day she crossed hills, and the second day she crossed meadows, and the third day she came to a deep forest. In the midst of it was a bit of a hut, and since night was coming on, the princess rapped at the door. There was no more answer than she could have made herself, and so at last she went in and said her prayers and curled up in a corner on the straw. Between the dark and the dawning, somebody pushed the door open and entered. The princess could not cry out, and she tried also not to breathe, lest the owner of the hut be wroth with her. Presently she was aware of two fairy eyes, and gently confronted, fell to sleep again. For she thought that it was only a house cat after all, and the beast from The beast came to her feet and curled itself against them, and so that night was passed. When the day came, the poor princess was ready to swoon with fright, for across her feet was a great spotted creature, little enough to a cat in shape, but many times larger. However, a soft touch is more gain than loss, so the lass stretched a hand to the great cat's neck. It purred at her, as pleased as a maid with a wedding ring. As pleased as a maid with a wedding ring. It's always good to have a good husband. And the princess suddenly bethought herself that this was a leopard, of which the little green man had told her. So she stayed at the hut through the day, and the spotted beast brought her food. And at night the princess lay down early, for she was resolved to be awake before dawn. At the dark of the moon, just before day, she opened the box of ointment, and touched a certain spot. When she remembered with the paste, when day came, the leopard rubbed its head against her, and she marked the spot which she had touched with the ointment was quite gone. Therefore, many days these two dumb things lived together in the leopard's hut. By day, the princess made the place tidy and dressed the food the leopard brought her, and at night they lay on the bed of rushes in the corner of the hut, and the leopard lay across her feet. Every night between dark and the dawning, she opened the little box and touched a spot she had marked during the day, until at last there was but one more spot, and very little of the ointment left. All that day the princess and the great cat did nothing, but sat still and looked at each other in the eyes. And when night came, the princess put her arms about the leopard's neck, and he laid her head against her, and they waited for the dawn to come. By and by, after the moon had gone, and before the sun came up, the princess opened the box of ointment and touched her finger to it and struck the leopard on the last black spot. The beast sprang aside with a loud cry. Then he flung himself against her. Just then the sun came up and shone upon them, and the princess saw that it was no leopard at all, but a fine lad, and a golden head, and a suit of yellow leather that knelt against her knees. And how did that happen? Why, she had redeemed him from the curse of the wicked witch, when he transformed a handsome prince into a leopard, but by spells and charms and black magic made with the princess's tongue. And when he had to stay until the dumb lass herself should let him lie across her feet, and she's deaf, baby, so the deaf lass herself lay across her feet and should wipe her spots away. Here was the little pink tongue the witch had fastened upon him, so that the lass would never find it under the leopard's skin. The prince opened a great locket that hung about his neck, and there was the princess's own tongue. So he touched it with the last drop of ointment and put it into her mouth, and it fitted exactly, and spoke as clearly as anybody. And the first word the princess said were, "I love you." Those were the only words she could say for some time, but the prince was perfectly satisfied, as any sensible man would have been. The end. Oh, that was so cute. So she got back her tongue. And the only thing she could say is, I love you. And he was so happy with that. Look at this. We're done with this book, baby. That was the princess book. So, a book of princesses stories. That was so cute. So we did Aesop's Fables and we did the princess stories. Mama got this from the library too a couple weeks ago. I do have to return these books on Friday because Friday's a free day, but I'm going to recheck these ones out. Because Mama wants you to see all the beautiful artwork in here. Mama loves books, baby. Mama just, I love, love, love books. And I want you to have that same love of books, which is why I started the Your Baby Can Read program with you when you were so little. Alright. I miss you. You know that? And I love you. Mama has to go out and do the cow. I have to get dressed. We're camping as a family here, and we can't wait for you to be here. We were talking about you last night. We talk about you all the time. All of us, we can't wait to see you and have you. And, you know, Mama just misses you, baby. I just miss you so incredibly much, and I love you. I'm so sorry all this stuff happened. There are learning lessons in life, though, and I'll tell you what, a mama will write herself off if she thinks she can save her baby. I don't care what mama that is. All mamas love, if the mama wants to be a mama, they love, 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 love their babies. And, baby, I'd do anything for you. I'd do anything for you. Anything. That's including write myself off thinking that I'm saving you. You know that? Mama doesn't work outside the home. I'm not a career woman. I am very much so a domestic housewife and homemaker who's codependent on a husband to work outside the home. And I know that about myself. I know that. And, you know, I'm sorry that all this stuff happened. But Mama was just trying to protect you, baby. And I love you. I love you so incredibly much. And Papa's still working outside the home. Mama's still so proud of him. Mama is so proud of Papa for working outside the home. Mama put Papa through so many years of schooling. You know, you can't give up his career. I did his resume, the first initial part of his resume, and then your grandma on your father's side did the rest, a look over of the resume. But I mean, like, Mama put together Papa's resume, and Mama went to support him on all of his job interviews, and Mama put him through college. I wasn't giving that up. I can't. Papa has to work outside the home. Papa earns way more than Mama ever will in a year. And women in general earn pin money. We earn money to go shopping, or like, you know, women have a rough go of it. I mean, women wanted to work outside the home, so it made it harder for women like me to find husbands who want a housewife and homemaker. You know, so we choose the ones who sometimes the men who want women to stay home, they're just controlling. Okay? I don't know why that is. But, like, just like these stories, I mean, the women are just looking to be married off to have babies. I mean, that's what the kingdoms, over and over again in the princess stories, you know? Because women are women, baby. We are always going to be women. You could be a career woman if you want to be. You have a very good educational start. You started the Your Baby Can Read program, and you started the Your Baby Can Learn program. You did the Your Baby Can Discover program. You did signing time. You did all kinds of things in order for your brain to be open to learning. That's why Mama did that with you. I wanted your brain to be open to learning skills that sometimes come harder to women, sometimes come harder to men. But, like, I just wanted you to have a good foundation to choose what you really wanted to do, whether that's being a career woman or that's being a housewife and homemaker like me. I can't choose for you. I'm not you. I don't own your body. I don't own your mind. I can't choose things for you. You have to choose things for yourself. I know who and what I am, and I seriously can't work outside the home. It makes me physically sick. Your papa knows that about me, and he wasn't kind to me because of that. But it's okay. It'll be okay. I can't wait to see you, baby. None of this matters. I just love you. I just miss you. I have to go out and do the cow. It's 8:02. I love you so very, very much. It's 8:02 on the 29th of July. I love you so very much, baby. Let's do We Sit and Watch the Rain as it falls from the sky. And we are glad to be inside where it is warm and dry. Oh yes, I do love the rain. It keeps the earth so clean and helps the pretty flowers grow from the mountains to the streams. Lila Tove, and good night to you. Lila Tove, may your dreams come true. We sing Lila Tove, may Israel protect you throughout the night until we reach the morning light. Karina, baby, like Papa always used to say, I'm his sun, he's my moon, and you are quite literally, you're a rainbow, baby. We both love you. We both love you and adore you so very much. I love you, baby. I love you so much. Have a good day, my angel. Mama loves you.